Welcome back to pod number 2 of round 3. I am here with Lust, my co-host, and Trump, our concepts judge. I'll be filling once again in for the musicality, delivery, and showmanship under the traits side of the scorecard as well. And you may notice joining us is not Waxy for this episode. Instead, we have a guy who has pioneered a lot of impacting outside of TNT, and a guy who has done so many things for the gloving community, not to mention has done so many things for us. He's our in-house video editor and an absolute legend from Lords of Light. Ladies and gentlemen, Freebie.
Hi guys, great to be here. I'm really excited to watch some of these light shows. It's been really fun editing these things. It's pretty cool. You guys are throwing some fire, can't lie. Coming from an old school person, it's really cool to see a lot of innovation happen now. And yeah, I just want to see some light shows. Like, y'all throw some fire. Let's see more.
What a sick match today. We've got Youngblood versus Elixir. Youngblood came up and just absolutely murdered it in Group C. Annihilated the scorecard, was really comfortable with it, and just came very correct with a lot of style. So we're looking forward to that. And Elixir just took first in the three-way redemption battle. So he is also coming off some heat. So this should be a fantastic match. Should be a great clash of styles. I'm really excited. How you guys feeling right now?
I'm stoked. I mean, this is like, Youngblood, who's the OG, big part of Ion when Ion was really big. And now we have Elixir, who's kind of been one of the new faces of creatures the past year. And it should be a fun matchup, honestly. I'm excited to see how you guys score these two rounds, these two shows, because I think both of them are pretty versatile on the scorecard.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really fun to watch and super different because, like Mary said, this is going to be, somebody that used to be an amazing sponsor and is part of Ion and has been huge in the scene, but not super recently. I have been seeing him post more, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then someone who is much newer than even I am coming in and doing his own thing and doing it well. So this will be a fun match to watch and really interesting to judge. I'm excited.
100%. Well, without further ado, let's get into it with Youngblood.
Meanwhile,
right, and that was Youngblood. Lust, how you feeling?
I love Youngblood shows, and this one is no different. I'm excited to hear what Freebie has to say about the liquid in this show because I think that was really one of my favorite parts of the show is he has his hand flat and just like you can almost see like a wave just like in this
Yes.
portion of his hand that's just so hard to really and do effectively, cleanly, make it look awesome. And I think that was one of my favorites. But Trump, what did you think of the complexity, the cleanliness, use of space of this show?
Yeah, so that was probably the simplest show that we've seen as far as complexity goes. There wasn't too much of it. Lots of body movement and stuff, which is awesome. But I, I hate to say it because it was a really good show, but it really catered to Teddy's side of the scorecard. Even his last move, amazing musicality, but all he did was hold his hand right here and go, which isn't the most technical or complex thing that you could do in a competition. Also a little bit repetitive. So he used his space well for the most part and super clean, very clean. But as far as complexity goes, I know there's more, and it's going to need to be brought to the table when you're in a competition of this caliber.
All right. Well, let's hear from Teddy on his side of the scorecard. How did you think Youngblood through this show?
So I want to preface this by saying that I know the song really well. So anybody that picks this song and I'm judging, I'm a super harsh critic about it. That being said, he hit this song very well. There was a lot of it that felt like it was coming from his hands. Which as I've mentioned before, Jest and Panda have both cited, different ways that there's making the music, reacting to the music versus proactively creating the music, or at least, projecting the illusion as such. And there's a good portion of the show. I probably want to say like 70% of this light show is way over past the, music coming from you. He's doing that explicitly. But there's a couple times where I lost the thread, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I know the song so well that I think I have a bias in that. So I'm gonna have to really think hard on the musicality score and what's my own personal filter. But I guess I should just use that personal filter anyway. That's what I'm here for, right? Yeah. All right. No, I take that back. Whoever uses the song, just know that you're under a microscope. That being said, he performed well under that microscope. The delivery and the showmanship. There were a couple things in the delivery early. Lust pointed out, like that liquid and everything that would wave. That was very nice. There's a lot of easily tangible things about this show, and Trump really hit it on the head. It really caters to my side of the scorecard. Honestly, he's going to score well with me, and he's probably not going to score so well with Trump. So this match is really going to come down to, did Elixir show up? Judging by his actually, I take that back. I didn't even want to judge it by his redemption score, which was amazing. But it's gonna be an interesting matchup. But I'll hand it back over to Lust so she can hand it to our guest judge. I'm sure is chomping at the bit to get involved in this
So
conversation.
let's have our judges fill out their scores and let's hear from a wet member himself, Breebs.
So, the first thing that I really want to set for this is it's hard to judge liquid in a technicality standpoint, especially in a competition because I mean, for the most part, you don't really see a lot of liquid-based light shows in competitions. It's hard to see that coming out. Like there are people who can pull it off. A lot of the people on wet are able to make technical liquid shows. Honestly, we've had our eye on Youngblood before, but I haven't heard anything from him. So where you at, bro? Need to hear that. But from seeing it as a liquid light show, it is definitely different. It does cater more to a trait side than it does to like technical moves and all that. So when it comes down to it, it is the little intricacies in the liquid is what will help you make it different than just simple, throwing around like this and stuff. You could do this, but like bring that there, wrap it around, something like that. Like there's a lot more to it that can make it look technical, but it is a hard thing to do. It's a tricky thing to pull off.
Yeah, I definitely loved his liquid in this video. I thought it was very clean for the most part, but I did notice that he tended to lead with one of his hands, like for pretty much all of his liquids.
Yeah,
So
and that's another
that's
thing
also
too.
something to take into consideration. Kind of helps switch things up a little bit, involving both hands having sort of reactions. So, judges, are the scores in?
Yes.
They are, and it looks like Youngblood is going to come in with 28 points in 4, 3, and 6 for cleanliness, usage, space, and concepts on Trump's side. And then on my side, delivery, showmanship, and musicality, 4, 4, and 7. So we'll see if Elixir pull this off. He did score higher with that, but that was with different judges. So we'll see if he impresses us as much as he impressed Just and Trump. By the way, that's the cue that we're gonna put Elixir's video up.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm just gonna. That was Elixir. Lust. Take it away.
I have definitely become a big fan of Elixir's shows this past year or two, and this show is no different. I mean, he's really coming out in this comp. We've talked about this a little bit before, but anytime you're doing tutting or anything, you kind of want to have that lighting, and then with clusters and creatures, sometimes it's even better to have it darker for those switches that don't look possible that he does. And I think he pulled it off beautifully in this show. There's a lot of moves that I think were well executed and clean. And what did you think, Trump, about the complexity of this show? not in comparison to Youngbloods, obviously, but on its own. But how would you phrase the kind of style Elixir has?
To answer that question, I mean it's almost reminiscent of Nemo with a lot of whips, which is a great combination. I have a lot to say about this one because right off the bat, something that's gonna catch my eye is when you're doing tech and you're doing a move and your fingers are like this. If you go back and look at any of his finger movements, his fingers are not tucked in straight, making those boxes down here. They're like that every time he's doing any of his tech. That's gonna catch my eye 100% of the time, because that is huge and shows that you're not paying attention to everything that's going on with your hands. There were parts of that were super clean. The whips and the trails were amazing, but that is something that you might lose a point for there. Um, and then just going into, I don't know where this might fall on the scorecard at the moment, but going into it, there's a certain point in the show where he seemed like he stopped listening to the music as much, with the exception of a few small cues, and that goes into Teddy's thing. So I do want to hear what he has to say about that. Teddy, you can take it from there.
I thought you had a lot to say about this show, but all right, okay.
I do, but I'm just gonna rant if I keep going. So I'm just gonna.
That's. I mean,
edit
I was
that
gonna
out.
rant too. I was gonna do the same thing. But I really like this show. Um, while yes, Trump, had there were a couple points that were like off on the musicality side, but a lot of it was super on point. There was one move in particular, that one setup he did where it was like he went this way and he came into it really nicely. I'm totally butchering it because I got this mic in the way, and I'm point is, but he stacked this like really nicely and then kind of came up into like this sideways tut thing. And it was on beat really nicely, and it transitioned well. It was very surprising, and there was a couple other moments like that right around around halfway through it. That whole section was very nice transition wise. And, and I also I really enjoy that intro. I just literally every single thing about that whole first 20 seconds, like just all of it, everything, 100% more of that to the T. The presentation, like the whole way you started that, like I'm in for that, no problem. What else? I think that's about it. I mean, this was a good show. This was a good show for this round. If he I haven't scored it yet, but if he does make it past it, I will say he's gonna have to step up after this round. Um, but we'll see. We'll see if he does that on here. But I'm sure I'll turn it back over to Lust, can get to scoring and figure that out.
Yeah, so let's have our judges score and see if Elixir can pull off higher than a 28. And let's hear from Freebie on what he thought of this show.
Well, this was definitely a really cool show to watch. I think the one thing that um, I liked more was just because of the placement of it, where he was. He was more upfront with the camera. It was really cool to see like that, and not to compare it to Youngblood, but I feel that there is that whole thing of like placement and stuff. You like even like your lens and everything. Like I know fisheye lenses, wide angle lenses are very good and a very advantage or like very advantageous for glovers because it gives that circular effect, knocking out that like little bit of sloppiness. It does help a lot when it comes to that, and it's also from my perspective, when it comes to liquid, I feel up close and personal is a lot more captivating than standing back and just waving around. Not to say that that's what Youngblood did, but it's all about that placement. And Elixir definitely did that, and especially with his clusters and everything. That's what you need. You need that up close kind of thing. I can't cluster. I suck. Don't worry about that. But it's cool to see that he used all that space at the same time too. Even being able to pull things back and bringing it back in, like that was great. Like, and he still kept it though, as if the center focal point was right there, right in front of you. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Well, are the scores in? Looks like there is some debate on scoring. What section are you contemplating? Oh, looks like musicality.
Oh,
Sorry to do this to you, Freeze. We have a tie at 28 points.
you mean I get to use the band hammer?
You get to make a decision and decide the fate, Freebie, because we have again 28 points. 447 for cleanliness, use of space, and difficulty of concepts, and 436 for delivery, showmanship, and musicality.
Jeez Louises.
28 points. So you could feel free to make any comments you want comparing the shows. Now,
Yeah,
keep in mind, as a guest judge, you are allowed to use any criteria you'd like. Previous guest judges have basically decided that it was based on which show they would rather get in person. But again, you're free to use any additional or different criteria you'd like. Please state your case as to your comparison of the shows, and at the end, I'd like you to pick a winner.
Gotcha. All right, so
Floor is yours.
So, all right. To each video had their good things and bad things, but watching Youngblood, I mean, honestly, you know, I would love to get a show from him, but that's because I personally know him and I know that he loves to do liquid, and so that's my preference for sure. Elixir, on the other hand, had a really cool complex thing, and I do enjoy those kind of shows too, because I mean, I can't really pull stuff off like that. I can try, but you know, I actually like to watch that rather than like do that with my shows. So it's definitely a tough one because, you know, both are great glovers. They're both amazing at what they do. They both have different types of gloving, so it's always hard to do that. But if I'm gonna have to pick, I hate to do it, but it's got to be Elixir, because I mean, he stepped up and he followed everything, and the way that he presented his light show is a lot more enticing than Youngblood's. Even though I love that kid's light show so much, I wish he would have just used, like, or not even used a wide angle or fisheye, but just got a bit closer to the camera. So I hate to say that, but that knocks a lot of like points off for me. So yeah, Elixir is gonna have to be our winner.
All right, and Elixir is going to join Mr. Freckles in pod number 2. We'll be back to see if JPEG or BMO join him in that epic three-way battle. Oh my god! Holy smokes!
No. That's
Mr. Freckles, Elixir, and then either JPEG or BMO.
That's gonna be a doozy. Holy.
It's wild. It's getting serious.
Yeah,
It's getting
these
serious.
next rounds are just gonna be crazy.
These matches are getting insane.
I know
These matches are just
are awesome.
ridiculous.
Oh, great.
Anyway, does anybody have any closing comments on either of these light shows that they'd like to make?
Youngblood, I miss you and I love you and I'm sorry.
You heard it here. Freebie loves you, he misses you, and he's sorry. And we love all of you for liking and subscribing this video, and for leaving a comment below, and telling us what you think, or telling us if you miss us, because we miss you and we cannot wait for live events and in-person things and stuff. We'll have more details on that soon, but we appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking in and tuning in with us.
Me.
Bye-bye. Cool.